is truly nothing more unserious than a bunch of female celebrities flying into space in a dong-shaped ship while claiming that they're astronauts saving humanity. But alas, that is 2025. So last Monday, we all watched as Blue Origin took its 31st flight into orbit with an all-female crew, which included Katy Perry and Gail King, aka Oprah's best friend, because that's the only reason we know Gail King, and Lauren Sanchez, who is Jeff Bezos' fiance. And guys, this flight into space was propped up as some sort of historic endeavor, because this was Blue Origin's first female crew. It was the first all-female crew that had ever gone to space since 1963, and because of that, it turned into a whole girl power movement. And leading up to this trip has just been a lot. Like, I have wanted to talk about this on the show probably for months at this point, but I have been waiting to watch this actually transpire to see what happened when they went into space before we did an all-encompassing recap. And guys, it was better than I ever expected. I mean, the actual trip, the fallout, the PR crisis, it has been so juicy and incredible to see. There was so much PR. We had been talking about it for months. Everybody was taking it so seriously because it was going to be this profound and impactful endeavor on society. These 6 women being thrust into space. Like, I literally thought that they were going to space for a few days. I thought that they were in training for months, that they were going to go up to the International Space Station. Like, I've never paid attention to the Blue Origin flights. Like, that's Jeff Bezos' company. It's space tourism. I had no idea what was going on, but I literally thought that this was a serious endeavor. But no. The trip was 11 minutes long. Just take a look at this graph. They leave Earth, they pop right up just into orbit so that they can look down and see Earth, and then they immediately come back down. Like, they experienced zero gravity and weightlessness for about 3 minutes. And they did all of this in a spaceship that literally looks like a wang. Like, even their graph here looks like just the tip, which is basically what they did. They just got to the tip of space, and then they came back down. Like, basically, in less scientific terms, this was the flight. Just the tip into space for Gail King and Katy Perry. Now, I will not knock these women completely. Like, going into space is obviously not a walk in the park. Would I ever do it? Abso-freaking-lutely not. I will not even get in a helicopter. So there is no way that I would be throwing myself into space, even if it was only for 11 minutes. But this 11-minute trip is certainly not what it was made out to be, nor did it really have the impact that they hoped for. Because while they were screeching about girl power and taking up space and inspiring women, we have been making fun of them for over a week. Now, before we get into this story and what a joke all of it was, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to our channel if you've not already, and of course, ring that notification bell so that you stay up to date on all of our uploads. And I just want to remind you guys that I am going on tour this spring. We are actually leaving for tour in just a couple of weeks, so if you've not bought your tickets yet, they are linked in the description below. You can see if I'm coming to a city near you. I hope you all come so I can meet you guys and see all of your beautiful faces. Now, again, guys, I thought that this was far more serious and intense than it actually was. Like, I thought that these women, I thought that Katy Perry was with NASA training for months and months, that they would be in space for days. And honestly, I think that they had also decided that this was a lot more important than it actually was. And when I say they, I am specifically talking about Katy Perry and Gail King and Lauren Sanchez, who are the real culprits here of this PR fiasco, because they were the ones who really turned this into their feminist rallying cry. Like, this was their way to make their billionaire, celebrity, elitist joyride feel important and to garner more attention, and they were willing to do whatever it took to make that happen. And the message that they landed on that was going to be so important and impact all of us was that them going on this, again, 11-minute joyride where they would experience 3 minutes of weightlessness in actual space was that they were going to teach women. They were going to teach all of us how to take up space. This was actually something that they were doing for all of us. Truly, going to space was really for all of our benefit. It was constant. So now that we know that that was the intent, let's go see them actually in space. Let's see them in action, taking up all of that space for our benefit.
Deploy from the crew capsule. Those are like the guide parachutes. There go the drogue parachutes.
Just free falling right there until those drogues came out.
I mean, it's pretty fabulous that we can literally hear them coming down to Earth. And these are not experienced astronauts. They don't know what they're just screeching all the way down. They've been screaming up in space, screaming, oh my God, we're taking up space. And now they're screaming all the way down. Like, it was just complete and utter female silliness. Like, these are not serious people. These are not serious women. I mean, serious people would be thanking God God that they're on their way home. They would be saying a prayer, possibly with their Hallow app. Now, this Easter season, you can embrace the freedom of the resurrection as we pray with Sister Miriam James Heidland, Father John Burns, Liz Tabish, and Kevin James through the spiritual classic Interior Freedom by Father Jacques Philippe. In each of these prayer sessions on Hallow, you will learn how to walk in freedom amidst the circumstances of our daily lives. You'll be able to let go of external attachments and discover the peace and freedom that come with trusting in God's love and grace. The peace and freedom that come with not catapulting yourself up into space. So continue the joy of the Easter season with brief prayers, reflections, and meditations that will help you continue the daily prayer habits that you deeply established during Lent. Hallow has thousands of prayers, meditations, and music and programs to help you build a daily habit of prayer and grow closer to God. Get 3 months free at hallow.com/Cooper and grow closer to God every single day this Easter season. Once again, that's hallow.com/Cooper to get 3 months free of Hallow. But here's the thing. I don't want to spend this entire episode just making fun of these women because, look, I'm glad that they had a great time. These are rich women. They are celebrities. They can do whatever they want with their money. Jeff Bezos can do whatever he wants with his money. I'm glad that Gail conquered her fear of flying because apparently she is incredibly anxious, and Oprah always talks about how Gail is so anxious. So, good for her. I'm glad that Katy Perry reached her dream of going to space, which was apparently a dream of hers, but this was not some big leap for women. Like, that is utterly ridiculous to assert. I mean, this entire thing was basically a glorified bachelorette trip, as Dana Lash put it in her newsletter from last week. She wrote, "The Blue Origin event included Jeff Bezos' fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, who, in her defense, can actually pilot a chopper, has a real interest in aviation, and actually owns an aerial film production company. Gail King, because when I think of space travel, I think of Oprah's best friend, and Katy Perry, who always speaks like she's reading from a Tampax instruction pamphlet or a lost chapter of Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. It is not a new mission for Blue Origin. They have done these sorts of quick suborbital trips 11 times before. The ladies went into air, but not technically into space. They were passengers, not astronauts, no more than were pilots for riding on jets. These things are fine and good. It's just weird to see this 11-minute stratospheric trip presented as some major advancement into space exploration. It's not. It was a girls' trip. They spent more time taking a million photos of themselves for social media than they spent in the air. They literally spent more time giving interviews and being on the cover of Elle magazine than they did in that phallic spaceship. Like, honestly, the bigger innovation, the bigger leap forward for women was the fact that Lauren Sanchez redesigned the astronaut suits for women. And she made them flattering and comfortable and hugging all the right places. Like, that genuinely might have had a greater impact on female astronauts than a celebrity feminist joyride. But again, who am I to rain on their parade? Like, they were and they still are very undeterred, making this very meaningful. It was meaningful for them. It's gonna be meaningful for us if they can make it happen. But guys, like, watching them exit that spacecraft, like, that might have been even funnier than the actual event itself or anything leading up to it. And I know that I keep saying, I don't want to rain on their parade, and then I just continue making fun of them, but it's genuinely so ridiculous because we all saw how not impactful the entire event was, and it felt like they were the only ones who were not in on the joke. Like, Katy Perry, she literally kissed the ground as she exited the spaceship after being gone for 11 minutes. Just watch.
Katie!
So she skips off of the ship. She's holding up a daisy in her arms as if she's holding up her microphone, as if she just performed in concert. She's kissing the freaking ground. Again, when she was gone for 11 minutes. Like, imagine being one of the astronauts who was just stuck up in space for over 9 months, and you watch this celebrity pop star twirling daisies and skipping and flipping her hair and kissing the ground because she's so happy to be home after she was literally up in space for 3 minutes. Because of feminism. Because it's feminism, because she's changing the world. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. But Katy did not stop with just kissing the ground, because after that, she gave a very, very strange, kind of Kamala Harris-inspired monologue about just feeling so connected after this entire experience.
I feel super connected to love. So connected to love. I think this experience has shown me you never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give. And how loved you are until the day you launch.
Wow. Thank you so much. I mean, truly, Dana Lash said it best. You cannot understand a word that this woman is saying. There was another interview that Katy Perry gave prior to launch where she was asked about why she was so excited about this trip. And she was like, I love STEM and the math of it all and the science and just getting into the STEM And that was her actual answer. She was like, I'm so into STEM. No, you're not. You're really not. You are a pop star. And you're saying that you feel connected to love because you went to space for 3 minutes. Like, it's just ridiculous. And again, guys, she really wanted to hammer in why this mission was so important, again, for women.
I hope they can see the unity that we modeled and replicate that and understand that we weren't just taking up space, we were making space for the future. My journey has always been about love and belonging, and I think that we have all felt that sometimes we weren't worthy or we didn't belong, and in certain ways, no matter all the accolades, no matter all the studying, no matter anything. And I think today we all said it, like, we belong here.
I mean, guys, there's another minute in that clip, and I have no desire to continue watching it or showing it to you because she says nothing of any importance. She belongs, she made space, she felt love, she's inspiring change, she is bringing unity. I mean, that's the only thing she got right. She unified the entire country, the entire world, in laughing at this incredibly stupid flight. But again, I really don't think she cares because she took up space, and that is all that matters.
It's not about me. It's not about singing my songs. It's about a collective energy in there. It's about us. It's about making space for future women and taking up space and belonging.
I mean, again, it's a bunch of hubbub. It is literally a bunch of nothing. Her higher power, it's a collective energy. She's singing in space for us. Are we all grateful? Do we feel the power of taking up space and belonging because Katy Perry went up into space for 3 minutes and sang, "Oh, what a wonderful world," and stared into the camera like she was on Xanax? That's literally what we saw. And truly, guys, the story just kept growing from there on social media. Like, they could not escape how ridiculous this was. And this was driven primarily by Katy Perry, unfortunately. And I think that she was hoping that this would really push her into new stardom, help the fact that her last album was a huge flop. She's trying to go on tour. She needs to sell tickets. Like, she was literally up in space holding up her set list for her new tour. This was all a marketing ploy, but it really just turned people against her because they realized that they were just watching some mixture of the Hunger Games mixed with Veep. Like, it's elitist celebrities taking joyrides into space in sexy outfits, telling us, the peasant women, how this was actually all for us, all for American women, but also was kind of like Veep because the women literally acted like they were in a sitcom. Like, it was the most nauseating display of gravitas and self-importance, and everyone online, no matter how old you were, no matter your background or who you voted for, was fed up. And I mean everyone. There was not a corner of the internet, not even the legacy media journalists that were supposed to prop up these feminists, not even they could get behind this. And Megyn Kelly put it so well on her show.
We're supposed to be celebrating them. Somehow it's supposed to be empowering because not enough women have gone up into space. What we mean is not enough are astronauts. Not enough women are astronauts. That's what we mean. We don't mean, please put Gail King in yet another opportunity for her to try to act like a star while she's next to Oprah. I don't feel empowered. This is like another, it's female White House press corps day at the White House. If they had been 6 astronauts going up there, then yes, okay. What did they do? The one gal is engaged to a billionaire, and these are a bunch of celebrities she wanted to befriend. Okay. Of course, Lauren Shands has, whatever her name, had to show off her tits. Okay, it's a little early in the hour to be dropping the T word. Her breasts in her little fake astronaut outfit. Because, you know, what's a day if we don't get to see the girls on Lauren Sanchez?
I mean, it's perfect. And Megyn made a great point. Like, it's early in the hour to be talking about tits. It's so strange how this story is just accidentally sexual. Like, the entire thing is just so weird. Like, that is just another layer into this literally not being serious in the slightest. And she made a good point. Like, go have fun. Show off the girls, Lauren Sanchez, if that's really what you want. Have a silly time. But don't pretend like you are empowering women or saving the freaking planet or moving space exploration forward in any way, shape, or form. Because again, this was a joyride. Now, interestingly, the loudest voices that were critiquing this entire journey were from other rich female celebrities who were basically, in my opinion, just trying to virtue signal on top of the astronauts virtue signaling. And these were people like Olivia Munn and Olivia Wilde and Emily Ratajkowski, who all had choice words for these crew members. Now, Olivia Munn was one of the first to comment. This was way before they even got on the ship. And she said, quote, "I know that this is probably obnoxious, but like, it's so much money to go into space and there's a lot of people who can't even afford eggs. What's the point? Is it historic that you guys are going on a ride? I think it's a bit gluttonous. Space exploration was to further our knowledge and to help mankind. What are they going to do up there that has made it better for us down here?" Well, Olivia, They're taking up space for us. They're making space for us. That is really helping women all around the world who can't afford eggs. Obviously, we should be very grateful. Now, Olivia Wilde also posted this on her story. She said $1 billion bought some good memes, I guess. Like, yeah, genuinely, that's the only good thing that has come out of this entire endeavor, is that I'm able to do an episode about it. That's really, like, it's made me laugh. That is the one positive here. But of all of these criticisms, Emily Ratajkowski's video was my personal favorite. And you're going to see the glaring hypocrisy here.
That space mission this morning, that's end time shit. Like, this is beyond parody. Saying that you care about Mother Earth and it's about Mother Earth and you're going up in a spaceship that is built and paid for by a company that's single-handedly destroying the planet. Look at the state of the world and think about how many resources went into putting these women into space. For what? For what was the marketing there? And then to try to make it like, I'm disgusted.
And listen, I obviously get what she's saying, and we agree on a lot of this, but all of these women who are criticizing the Gail Kings and the Katy Perrys, they are extremely rich. Emily Ratajkowski filmed that video in her Sprinter van. She frequently gets on private jets, just as social media users have been pointing out. They are echoing the right points. The sentiment is there, but this really wasn't who the public wanted to hear that from. Like, one commenter said, I'm fine with them flying private planes, but their blind hypocrisy and or fake virtue signaling is grating though. Another person said, AKA, they would have gone, but they weren't invited. Now, Bethany Frankel, who you guys know is probably my favorite and most self-aware rich celebrity, she called all of this out in this TikTok.
This space odyssey is a circular reference of satire. I mean, Emily Ratajkowski commenting on a waste of resources and privilege from a Sprinter, a car that I used to have, by the way, guilty as charged. Just like Saturday Night Live cannot come fast enough. Like, honestly, can I please play Emily Ratajkowski in Sprinter talking about wasted resources? The whole thing is a PR shit show.
It is. It is literally a nightmare. And there is nothing at this point that they could do to save it because it was already a firestorm on social media. Like, none of this is relatable. The people going up into space are not relatable. The celebrities talking about it in their Sprinter vans are not relatable. It is not inspiring, nor is it empowering for any of us back down on Earth. Like, we don't care about the celebrities even calling it out. We would rather you just stay in your bubble looking hot and being not relatable. That would actually be the best thing you could do for all of us. Now, obviously, because of the social media firestorm and the PR nightmare, as Bethany was talking about, these astronauts could not stay in their bubble for very long, and sooner or later, they did have to start addressing some of these very valid criticisms, and this is really where Gail King took center stage. Katy Perry really caused the problem, but Gail was like, no, don't worry, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to fix this situation. And you know what she did? She told all of us that actually all of the criticisms were just misogynistic. Take a listen.
Please don't call it a ride. That is not a friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes up, you have never said to an astronaut, boy, what a ride. You know, we duplicated the same trajectory that Alan Shepard did back in the day, pretty much. No one called that a ride. It was called a flight. It was called a journey, because a ride implies that it's something frivolous or something that's lighthearted.
It was. It literally was. Katy Perry was flying around with Daisy, showing us all her set list. You were talking about girl power. You were in sexy spacesuits. I think that is about as silly and frivolous as something could be. I mean, Gail, something that is actually misogynistic in our world right now is people thinking that I can't grill a steak, which actually I can't, which is why Alex manages all of the Good Ranchers in our house. Now, for anyone out there who is worried about the tariffs affecting them at the grocery store, do not worry anymore, because Good Ranchers is completely tariff-proof, and that is because their meat is actually 100% American raised. It is all born, raised, processed, packaged, and shipped right here in the United States. And not only will you not have to worry about your meat prices going up, but Good Ranchers is also giving you your pick of free meat for life when you subscribe today. That is free ground beef, wild-caught salmon, seed oil-free chicken nuggets, or bacon in every box for the life of your subscription. And not only are their cuts of beef, chicken, and pork and seafood delicious, but the service and the value that they deliver is unmatched. This is an amazing company run by great people, and I am so proud to work with them, and I'm so excited they are giving you this offer. So today, change the way that you buy meat and economy-proof your meals with Good Ranchers, because in a world that is constantly changing, you should know that at least one thing is staying stable. Visit goodranchers.com/Brett today. You can unlock your free meat for life and get $40 off with my code Brett at checkout today. Do not leave your food up to chance. Lock in a secure supply of American meat at a steady price today at goodranchers.com. Again, claim $40 off and free meat for life if you use code Brett at checkout. But back to the point, Gail calling this entire thing misogynistic and now pitting men against women, it is so predictable. Like, not liking anything that some somebody does in 2025 immediately means that you are misogynistic, you are transphobic, you are a bigot, you are a racist, a fascist, whatever the word of the day is, but nobody cares anymore. Like, we are over it. We're over it because we realize that those words have been diluted down to basically mean nothing. Like, I'm sorry, people being against you doesn't actually mean that they are a bad person. They might just be calling you out for something that was not done in good taste, that maybe you should have thought twice about doing. But even though that was ridiculous, that was not even the best part of Gail's response to these criticisms. To really drive in the knife and illuminate the disparities between the classes, especially in this economic environment, she said this.
Have you been? If you've been and you still feel that way after you come back, please let's have a conversation.
She's literally saying, have you been to space? All of the people that are criticizing her, that are criticizing Katy Perry and Lauren Sanchez, have you been to space? If you haven't, you can't talk about this. So you go ahead. You go ahead and pay $1 million and go to space, and then we can talk. I mean, Gail, that is the most tone-deaf thing you could have said. You just made this PR crisis 100 times worse. And I think that her response there was really what did it for people. Like, that was just the end of this entire thing. And it also kind of did it for something else, which leads me to what might be the only positive outcome of this journey, this flight. I'm not going to say ride to not offend Gail King, but that would be the potential death of pop feminism. And this pop feminism, that's the feminism that lacks all real substance. It grew out of women feeling bored 20 years ago and feeling like they needed to have some kind of fight and purpose because their lives were actually better than they had ever been, ever. It was the feminism that was about girl power and things like taking up space and being connected to Mother Earth and having belonging. Like, people are done with that because it means nothing. And it's hilarious watching people on both sides of the issue of the political aisle help destroy this once and for all. For example, one NBC reporter wrote, "Space tourism is not feminism. It is consumer capitalism at its most inaccessible. Businesses have for decades tried to sell us on this form of what feminist writer Andy Zeisler has called superficial marketplace feminism. Monday's historic mission is nothing less than a show of identity politics, thinly cloaking the American capitalist impulse of the more is better mentality. The glamour shots of the 6 women in their suits looking serious but sexy, their partly unzipped suits flashing just a bit of skin, are proof of how this faux feminism mutilates real feminist politics and turns it into an aesthetic posture." So in this writer's mind, this stunt is taking away from the real issues. This faux feminism, this pop feminism is taking away from serious things that women should be talking about, which I think is something that everyone can agree on. Now, where we would probably disagree is what those real issues are, and based on the fact that she's talking about real feminist politics, I'm guessing we would not be on the same page on any of that, but the undertone of what she is saying rings true. Now, in some other writers' minds, this also signifies the misogyny of Trump's America, and yes, that is also coming from somebody who is against this girl power, is against the Blue Origin flight. This person in The Guardian wrote, "It is not misogynistic to say that these women do not have their priorities in order. Rather, it is misogynistic of them to so forcefully associate womanhood with cosmetics and looks, rather than with any of the more noble and human aspirations to which space travel might equate them. Curiosity, inquiry, discovery, exploration, and a sense of their own mortality and apprehension of the divine. These women, who have placed themselves as representatives for all women with their promotion of the flight, positioning themselves as aspirational models of femininity, have presented a profoundly anti-feminist vision of what womankind's future is, dependent on men, confined to triviality, and deeply, deeply silly. Is this the future that awaits women in Donald Trump's America? One where the only way to achievement is through sexual desirability, the only way to status is an ornamental attachment on a man who really counts, the only subject on which we are qualified to speak is whether lash extensions will stay in place." I think it's like so comical on so many different levels because this is not a conversation about Donald Trump whatsoever, and yet people will always tie it back to the big bad orange man. Donald Trump had no involvement in this whatsoever. His society, the world that we're living in, like that, it's not about him. It's about ridiculous women trying to make themselves feel important. And again, I'm kind of getting off track because that is where I disagree with this writer, but this writer is very angry, but it's also kind of accurate because these women were completely dependent on men who built this spacecraft. Most of us are. Frankly, we all are, because men built civilization. They built the homes that we live in. They built the studio that I am recording in. They built the cars that we drive, the spaceships that all of these rich celebrities are flying around in. But the difference is, I choose to acknowledge that and celebrate it and be grateful for that and not turn around and say, "Oh, I can't believe we're being dependent upon these men." Like, no, that's just the truth. Because if it weren't for men, these women would not be able to go on their silly little bachelorette space trip. And on that note, this tweet killed me. Bezos has carried out the most base metaphor of the century. imagery. A bunch of glammed up chicks with no real world skills get to just kick back in the space pod and enjoy the view while the unseen men do all the work to make sure that it goes right and that they don't die horribly. I mean, it's kind of right. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that these women have no skills. They obviously do. Some of them are actually scientists. Lauren Sanchez is actually a pilot, but the message still rings true. Like, they're saying that they're doing all of this for women because women are so important when they literally just went on a sexy joyride. Now, back to that blurb from The Guardian, all the political pandering about Donald Trump aside, she does have a point. Like, is that how women want to be represented in the world? It's certainly not how I want to be represented, because for me, this just makes all of us look bad. For me, it just signifies how silly and unnecessary feminism or even feminist politics actually are. Because we live in a world now where you have 6 rich, educated women flying to space for fun in sexy spacesuits. We have so few problems that they are literally making them up to make themselves feel important while they go on a glorified amusement park ride. Women are already taking up space. We're doing incredibly well. We are dominating the workforce. We are outpacing men in terms of academia and salary. We are making so much money. The space has been taken. We literally have dominated the entire space. And while this space trip might be the final nail in the coffin of this pop marketplace feminism, it certainly has been dying for a while because of this fact. Everybody is looking around at the world and going, actually, we don't really have anything to fight for. This is all kind of ridiculous. We're pulling things out of our ass. Like, this is genuinely so absurd. We don't care anymore. And a lot of this is driven by class disparity and how out of touch these celebrity voices are. I mean, think about AOC from a few years ago wearing her Tax the Rich dress at the Met Gala. Like, I genuinely cannot think of a worse, more out of touch place to share that message. And she rightfully got reamed because it was so hypocritical and it did nothing to actually share her message. Now, another great example that we have talked about a lot recently is the new feminist Snow White movie that has absolutely tanked at the box office because, shocker, nobody cares. Nobody cares anymore. It's shocking that this girl power rallying cry didn't work.
She's not going to be safe with the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Weird. I mean, it never gets old because the writing was on the wall. People were simply not interested. They weren't interested 3 years ago when they saw these clips, and they certainly weren't interested once the movie actually came out. I mean, guys, like, across all party lines, across all backgrounds and creeds, everyone is searching for something deeper. We don't care about this fluff anymore. We're done with the pandering from people who just want to feel relevant and important and are telling us that we have problems that we actually do not have. We're simply done. And that's why, yes, this joyride was ridiculous, but it was also kind of harmful because while Gail and Katy and Lauren have been sucking up all the attention trying to save women and make space for us, they have actually just directed all the attention away from women who are actually trailblazers. I mean, think about Suni Williams, who was just stuck in space for literally 9 months. I would much rather hear her story and praise her accomplishments in exploration and science than hear about Gail King getting over her fear of flying. Now, to be fair, because most of this episode has been focused on these 3 celebrity ridiculous women, there were 2 women on the Blue Origin flight that have gotten very little attention, which kind of speaks my point here, but they're the ones who I feel like actually deserved to be there in terms of creating inspiration and meaningfulness. For example, Aisha Bowe was on the flight. She is a former rocket scientist. She is an aerospace engineer who owns multiple companies with the goal of educating people and getting them into STEM. She is highly engaged in this industry. She is a leader in this field, and so her being involved with Blue Origin, her being on this trip makes complete sense. Now, the other woman that I want to talk about is Amanda Wien. She was the other woman on this spacecraft, and she, again, is actually a scientist, and she had always dreamed of going to space. She wanted to be an astronaut, but her plans were uprooted when in 2013, she was raped as a college student at Harvard University. And although she had plans to go to NASA and become an astronaut, she instead dedicated the last decade of her life to fighting for other survivors. And in her words, she said, "After my rape, I experienced a broken criminal justice system. I could accept the injustice or rewrite the law. So I rewrote it." So for her, this Blue Origin flight, this, joyride, it was very full circle. That was obviously incredibly meaningful for her. For her, this was the realization of a childhood dream, something that she had been actively pursuing for years, that she was actively studying in college, something that was derailed because of a tragedy that had happened in her life, something that she chose to walk away from because she wanted to do some good in the world. And so for her, her mission was less about girl power and more about showing other survivors like her that your life does have meaning, that things will get better, even if you have faced something as awful as rape. And it might take time, it might be over a decade later, but you will be able to realize your dreams. And after she landed, after the Blue Origin flight, she was giving an interview and she said, quote, "I just want every survivor and every person who has ever had a dream deferred to know that your dreams are valid. Even if your dreams are as wild as going to space, they matter." And you might, of course, argue that that is still a wild way to share that message, that she didn't need to actually go to space, but I'm more inclined to think that that's incredible. Because again, that is something that she was fighting for, that she was actively working towards. And that is far, far deeper than sexy spacesuits and taking up space and collective belonging and higher energy, whatever BS Katy Perry was talking about. And I think that that is what people were really missing in this flight, because it was presented to us as some kind of historic, meaningful endeavor, and we got nothing. We literally got the exact opposite. We got something that was out of a sitcom. People were on board. They wanted the true depth. They wanted to understand why they should care about this incredibly profound, important, historic space flight. Or on the flip side, I think people would have been just as happy watching a bunch of silly women have a good time in space with their sexy spacesuits. It's like watching the Desperate Housewives go to space, which I think, honestly, all of us would completely enjoy. And I guarantee this would not have received the backlash that it did if the women had not spread this feminist rallying cry and tried to make this joyride more important than it actually was. We might have made fun of Katy Perry kissing the ground when she got home, but it would not have been the silent killer of pop feminism that I think this actually is. I mean, Jeff Bezos and his team have already announced the next crew that is going on the next Blue Origin flight, and I'm already excited. Like, I've just spent the last 30 minutes making fun of this entire endeavor, and I'm already looking ahead to the next flight. I mean, look at this lineup. It is so absurd. You have Tom Cruise and Kendall Jenner and Jameis Winston, who you guys know I love. You have Drewski and Young Thug and Angel Reese. You have Angel Reese being catapulted up into space. Like, I just want them to go up there and create hilarious content for us and memes. Like, I want to see Jameis Winston up in space praising God like he did on the football field when it was snowing. I want to see Tom Cruise doing backflips, like hanging on to the side of the spaceship. And I swear to God, if they try to turn this into a anti-racist rallying cry because there are 4 black people going up into space, people might actually riot again. Because they don't want that. They want to see celebrities doing completely unrelatable, ridiculous things and it actually being unrelatable, because that is entertainment. So I hope that the Blue Origin PR team has learned from their mistakes, because people don't want to be lectured at by celebrities who are rich and influential and affluent enough to take multi-million-dollar joyrides into space. Not now. People want to be entertained. They want authenticity, and they also just want to be left alone, which is exactly what Justin Bieber has been fighting for the last 2 years. Now, in a crazy turn of events, I have actually spoken to people close to Justin, and the story that I have been told about his fight is worth hearing. We'll be going over this in Thursday's episode. You won't want to miss it.
Every day, millions of women like Brett drink just 1, maybe 2 sips of iced coffee. That's their entire fluid intake. Symptoms of extreme dehydration may include major sluggishness, a mind-bending 3-day headache, or forgetting what water even tastes like. If this sounds like you, let's fix that. Introducing Taylor Duke's Wellness Electrolytes, the hydration support for women who simply forgot to drink water again.
This is perfect.
Life-changing taste, clean, functional electrolytes, and your shriveled little cells finally feeling good. Side effects may include glowing skin, actually finishing a glass of water, reclaiming the will to get out of bed, or even saying, "I feel alive."
For the women who should be 70% water but run closer to 12, take the first step towards being a functional human again. Visit TaylorDukesWellness.com and use code BRETT for 10% off.